sports listeners. I'm your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday.
This whole hour of Santa Barbara teen athletes. Woo! And we're talking all athletes. Welcome. Another beautiful morning in Santa Barbara, Tuesday, 9 a.m. It's beautiful. I am so excited. We're on the deck here in my side yard. This is not Dominique, okay? This is Christine Marie. Dominique, though, did plug us all in. She's in San Diego. We've got some big show today. We've got Lori Cortez with college coaching. We've got Ed Langlow back. He's got a segment. Of course, Don, our resident, I don't know, he's a rhythmic guy. He just puts words together. It's just amazing. He's a reincarnated songwriter is what he is. Of course, we have our producer, Richard Dugan, and we've got some cutie patootie kids that I met at the pool yesterday, and I'm really excited. Let's bring them in. First off, we've got Matthew Landis and his friend Nicholas Gost. Hey, say your last name, Nicholas. Gaston. Nice. I had Gastow. For some reason, I knew this was not correct. Gaston. All right. Well, you're lucky because you guys are only 11 years old. You're going to a Santa Barbara High basketball camp. We're going to get to that. But I have in the house your future college coaches here, Lori Cortez. And because she met you at 11 years old, maybe she could give you a discount, okay? Of course, there's got to be something in it for you, okay, for showing up today. All right, let's get to this basketball camp before we do anything, because I know you guys want to jump back into the pool. So tell me about it. What's going on? Is this your first camp, Matthew, Nicholas, or no?
No, not really. We've done
two other camps.
Yeah, 2 other camps. I've done I believe it was, sorry, I'm blanking on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
Well, he's thinking take you from your camp.
Was it a sports camp?
It was a sports camp. It was beach volleyball.
Nice. Perfect. All right. So if you're rating all the camps, where does this basketball camp? You know, you can't get anybody in trouble here because we're going to give shout outs to your coaches. So was beach volleyball better than this one, or is this basketball better than this one? If kids and parents are listening and you want to promote a camp, which is your favorite camp?
I think that I would rate the basketball one better than the beach volleyball one because I feel like it's open with the amount of things that you do because you circle around doing different activities and like you play King of the Court, Knockout, all different kinds of fun games. And
Nice.
You do learn like foot positioning, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Nicholas, you agree with that? This is your favorite camp so far this summer?
No, Matthew, do you agree with that?
Oh, I'm sorry, Matthew. Well, Matthew, yeah. Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
And tell her the camps you've been through this summer.
I've done 2 other basketball camps, and this is probably like the second best basketball camp I've done. The other one was a little better because it was like we got to learn more stuff I didn't know.
Nice. So where was the other camp at? Because, if I'm a mom, I want to go to the best camp. Where was the other camp that you like better?
It was somewhere in Lompoc. I can't remember much about it because it was a while ago, and I've done a lot of other camps with me.
Beautiful. So how lucky are you guys getting to go to all these camps? What's up with that? So the whole summer's going to be filled with camps? What are you up to?
Oh, God.
Just a bunch of camps. And since I'm doing camps, I can actually learn more of how to like play the game. Like with beach volleyball, I learned just that was my first time ever figuring out how to even set a ball.
Oh, nice.
And basketball, I learned way better on my positioning of my feet.
Beautiful. So you want to give shout out to your coaches? Anybody out there? You want to say hi to a friend that you met? You're on a radio show now. We don't know who's going to be listening. This could be sent to China. Okay. So
I'll just say hello, everyone.
Oh yeah. All right. What about your parents? You want to say hi and thank your mom to be so lucky to be able to go to these camps?
Thank you, Kara, and thank you, Dan, for letting me go to these camps.
And what do you
So funny. Nice.
All
right. Fantastic. Just a quick question. So if they had a chess camp or something intellectual, would you want to go to that, or you just want to stick it to all sports? Like, is there anything out there like a mental camp, mental math, anything like that? Would you be interested in something like that? I'm just asking. Maybe a IT camp for techies, something like that?
Answer first.
I would probably want to go to like a tech camp, probably.
Yeah, I was always wondering about that, because it'd be nice to maybe a basketball, then a tech, and then back to beach volleyball, mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, see, your parents are listening to this show. So if you end up going to a tech camp, you make sure you send me an email and thank me. All right. How's that? So listen, you can stick around. I want to get you over to Lori Cortez. She does a segment. So I want you to stick around and listen to what she has to say. But Lori, they're 11 years old, 6th graders. Is there anything they should concern themselves with outside of just having fun and being,
First of all, it sounds like they're well on their way to being quite successful. Both of you guys are future public speakers, I can tell. And I love the fact that, sounds like you're scholar athletes. So you're in athletic camps, and then you have an interest in, working on something intellectual also. Those are great things. So what I'd say to you two in preparing for college, really, I know it's very early, but your grades matter now, because when you get strong grades in junior high, that prepares you well to take rigorous classes in high school, which is what the universities value when they review your applications. So work hard, study hard, try to get the best grades that you can, and have fun too, because a balance is very important. It sounds like you guys are having a great summer, and I'm happy to hear that.
Fantastic. Lori Cortez, we love you. Let's just go around the room real quick. We've got a couple of minutes. We always like to do the week of gratitude, and then we're going to get with Lori Cortez after she's going to start off with the first segment. But Ed Langlow is back in the house. You want to give some love to somebody this week, Ed?
Sure, thank you. I may have mentioned Joe Moreno before, but this segment that I'm doing today is pretty much compliments of Joy Moreno. So I'd like to give a big thank you to Joe for delivering Santa Barbara High School yearbooks to me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Joe. We love you. We love Joe. Joe, my oldest son's name is Joe. I love it. Such a good name. All right, Don Sanders, what do you say?
A gratitude for my carpenter friend who's supported the Santa Barbara community with beautiful work for years. He's about to move back to Washington, where he came from. And in the process, at the end of this week, he's making me a beekeeper. He's going to give me one of his hives of bees. So
nice.
Shout out to Jeff Robinson, and good luck on your next venture.
Beautiful. Lori Cortez, who do you want to give a shout to?
Shout out to all of the teachers and people in education for fabulous work this past year, just unprecedented. Hopefully they're having a good bit of a break before they start preparing for the next academic year next month. So
nice. All right, Steve Marie.
I want to give a shout out to the Creekside Restaurant and Bar. Because they did an incredible, we had a little celebration for my boss who was leaving.
Yes.
And they did incredible food. The service was fantastic. It was so easy to work with. It was just a wonderful experience. And it was last Wednesday evening. And I just want to give a shout out to the Creekside. And if anybody wants to do any kind of event, it's very family friendly. And it was just wonderful.
I love that. Good shouts. If you want it next time you talk to them or whatever like that, if they want a commercial, let's give them a commercial.
Okay.
We got to support our restaurants, our local ones, and they do a ton of support with all the neighboring schools. I know that for a fact because I see them are out there. So they're good people that run the place, and it is family.
Yeah.
They got a lot of games there, and it's definitely a really nice family-friendly restaurant. All right, my little guys, here you go. You guys can decide who goes first, but Matthew and Nicholas, who do you want to give some love to?
I want to give some love to my parents for letting me do all these basketball camps.
My grandma.
Aww.
And my grandma Vicky for letting me stay at her house.
Aww.
I want to give love to my parents and gratitude because, my mom and my dad have been working, a lot. I don't really even see them. I'm so happy that they even let me to go to this camp.
Oh, look at that. These are very well-raised boys. And Vicky Bartlett, you're my gratitude this week, okay? Because of you, I get to go swim every day. I met your grandson and his friend. So I brought kids into the show. It's been kind of sparse with children, with this whole COVID things. But now I think they're going to be breathing in new life. And I want to tell you both, you guys got what it takes. And you're a little on the young side. But if you ever want to bring your friends and talk about sports or whatever, we'll talk about it down the road. This is really good. We've got a college coach here. This is really good college resume stuff to say starting in the 6th grade, and we'll work you up to a co-host, okay, as the future college scholar athletes of this state. And I'm really impressed with both of you. So I'm opening this invitation to you, and I'll let you take it from there. And, lots of luck and love. You want to stick around? Great. But let's do this. Let's get with Lori Cortez right after these messages.
Get it on, bang the gong, get it on. Get it on, bang the gong, get it on.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m. Fantastic. We had just great time with these kids. I love you. If you just joined us, we've in the house. We've had Nicholas and Matthew and Nicholas, and they're both visiting us. You guys don't live in Santa Barbara. You live in Lompoc, right?
I live in Santa Barbara.
One lives in Santa Barbara. One lives in where?
Lompoc.
Lompoc. Okay, good. I just want to make sure. Got to get the whole location correct. Google Maps, as they say. All right. What we're gonna do is I'm glad you guys decided to stick around. You're gonna like this next piece. We've got Lori Cortez in the house, college coaching. Very close friend, was my son's teacher, and I've said this so many times, but she's like the first teacher that ever went up on the refrigerator. That shows you how loved she was by my youngest, John, okay?
That's a special honor
That's it. First teacher on the refrigerator. All right, Lori Cortez, what do we got for you? What's going on?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Erica. So it's summer, yay. And what I am hearing from many of my students is that they are disconnecting from all types of videos, any type of internet, anything like that. They're not online, which is a good thing, except for my rising seniors, because my rising seniors should be working on those college application essays. So lots of my students are telling me, well, I'm going camping for a month, or I'm going to Hawaii. I'm not going to have any internet. Great. Take the essay prompts with you. Write the essays while you're on the beach, or still be productive. Because the most important thing, I'll start with rising seniors and go down. Rising seniors, your application season is now. So most applications open August 1st. The essay prompts are out there already. All of my rising seniors are in the midst of brainstorming for the essays and writing their application essays. I can guarantee you the more that you get this done over the summer, the less stress you're going to feel senior year when school starts and you have all of your studies and all of your homework and hopefully all of your activities again. And you're going to want to enjoy that senior year, and having a lot of the essays done will greatly reduce your stress level. So that's my advice for my seniors, rising seniors. Rising juniors, fortunately, things are opening back up now. And so, employment-wise or volunteer work-wise, there's more out there for you, to do to kind of build your resume than there has been in the past year and a half. So I invite you to take advantage of that. Look for volunteer work in areas of your interest, or even maybe a possible short-term internship in an area that you might be interested in studying. And my rising sophomores and entering freshmen, the most important thing that you can be doing this summer is building your resume. And for all grade levels, obviously academic are of utmost importance. So if there are any courses, online college courses or types of classes that you're interested in or that may enhance your transcript, go for that. The universities value summer productivity, and in the essays, they like it when students weave in what they've done over the summers to stay productive. Of course, it's important to have fun, but it's also very important to stay productive and contribute to your community and keep your learning going.
Nice. Lori, we are so appreciative of your time that you spend on this show for over a decade now. You add such knowledge, and it's scary. I'm one of those parents that helicopter moms coach. My kids in most of their sports up until high school, and boy, when it came to the college scene, it was very difficult. And all I ever had to do using your services is pass over a credit card. It was so delicious. And I love the binder you give everybody. And then you meet with them monthly. And I mean, hands free, as they say. And, you always stress to my kids the importance. And I think a lot of the times where they just didn't feel like doing it is because of your input, they ended up getting it done. So I really, and I just can't. I mean, my kids are going to be 30 and 27 this year, but you know something? I'll always remember you because I had a stress-free 4 years of high school, and I just focused on the sports, and I teamed up with you for the scholarship part and the academics part. And I've said this before, especially with JoJo, you actually didn't cost me anything with JoJo because you got him some Hanilaki Aniana, whatever, scholarship, some writing scholarship. I didn't even know the boy could write. So thank you, because that money, extra money that we got that I would never have known about, going to Hawaii, HPU, Hawaii Pacific University, private school, came to me, which actually just, so I can't tell you. I so appreciate you. You know where the money's at, you know what to apply to. You help kids, don't overreach. Obviously my son wasn't going to apply to Purdue, and maybe, his whole life he wanted to go to Purdue. You're really good at being that person. Explain that. You have your reach schools. You have, how does that work?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Erica. But first of all, thank you. I thank you. And as you know, thank you for letting me be part of the radio show. And I value our friendship, and I just love your kids. So they're great. But let me explain a philosophy that I have as far as applying to colleges. I always want my students to have different categories of schools on their list. So I always, absolutely 2 to 3 stretch schools. Those are schools where your GPA, it might be a bit lower than the average entering freshman, where the selection rates are really low. Like, of course, the Ivy Leagues, selective schools like Georgetown, schools like that. And then I advise, 3 to 5 probable schools. And those are schools where the grades and if schools that take the test scores are pretty much the same as the average entering freshman. And then 2 to 3 safety schools too. And those are schools where, students GPA is above that of the average freshman. Lots of times with the safety and the probable schools, scholarship money will be offered. Like you mentioned with Joe, he's a strong writer, and they recognize that, and they offered him money because they valued that, and so they were trying to entice him to attend. So that's why it's always important to put your strengths out there and have a variety of categories of schools that you're interested in.
Yeah, brilliant. Now you have a presence on the internet. You have a website. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't been on it like a year, but you have a lot. I remember you had a lot of information that was for free for people. Yes. And how do we go about looking at that?
So that my website is simple. It's just collegecoachingservices.com. And on there, I have, some good information for people if they're getting started with the application process. And if you want to contact me, there's a contact form on there as well. My email is collegecoaching1@gmail.com. And it's also on my website. And I have a Facebook page too. And lots of times I put interesting, informational updated articles on there. So.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Our student that we've had for 6 years, Nico, he's heading down your way. Okay.
Where is he going to be going?
He's going to UC Irvine.
Oh, he is. He's going.
Yes. He got accepted.
Wonderful. Well, should, and they are planning on in-person learning in September. So that's great. That's great.
Yeah, so my question just really quick, because I had said, because he's kind of like my boy, you know what I'm saying? So I said, if you don't like it down there, I'm just saying, not that you're not going to like it, whatever. It's a little different than Santa Barbara, when in our situation, I'm the helicopter mom. So if you just are really yearning and you miss us, because a boy just doesn't grow up until he's like 30. That's how I feel. That's why I told both of my boys, I'm not going to a wedding until you're 30 something. And I told them, don't invite me. I'm not going. Lori, I would have said that. Okay.
Yes.
So I said to him, so my question to you is this, Lori. So if he does go down there, I'm just saying, I'm sure, because I'm going to give him all of your contact information, your car. He's going to know everything about you because, like he had this little eye thing today. Well, he's got 3 people and I was going to have a friend come over who's a doctor, look at the eye. This is the kind of treatment he gets, Lori. Okay.
Wow, pretty nice.
I know, I do. I love him. So if it doesn't work out, can he relocate back to Santa Barbara and still go to the UC Irvine on the internet? I'm just asking. I don't know if that's possible.
It's a little bit more complicated to transfer from one UC to another. UCs are very encouraging and welcoming of students who attend city colleges.
Right, but what my question was, he'll stay. In other words, he's going to take all the classes, but he'll just do them online.
Oh, so he would still take them from UC Irvine.
Yeah.
That just depends on if the classes are going to be offered online or not. And that actually, I think the professors are still working on that. Like, which classes are going to be offered in person and which ones are going to be online. But I think most of them are going to be, as I understand it, most of them are going to be offered in person. I don't know if they'll have an online component to that or not. I'll find out and let you know, though.
Oh, that would be awesome. Because, I just threw it out there and he seemed excited about that.
Yeah, I'll find out and let you know for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. Of course, we want to assimilate in the school that you're going to, but my whole thing is just to be happy.
Right.
And when you're with somebody for 6 years, that's a long time. And of course, you have to let him go one day. But I figured I'd let him go after he got his master's. I'll be good with it.
Or maybe his PhD.
Exactly. Then I'll be good with it. In this house, the way it's set, it's only one level. And I told him, if you want to build your family, we could just go up. You know what I'm saying? When you just have that spiritual thing.
I like that.
Anyway, got off course a little bit, but we're going to get back on course with Ed Langlo right after these messages.
Well, now together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and a man. Together we'll stand, divided we'll fall. Come on now, people, let's get on the ball and work together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, because together we will stand, every boy, every girl, and a man.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salter, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m.
Right, we're back. I'm Ed Langlo with Teen Sports Radio, and If Only I'd Known. If Only I'd Known is normally a mentor's moment with the teens with us on Zoom, as well as those with us here in the studio and listening on the radio. But today is going to be more of a history lesson. A few weeks back, I was standing in the parking lot in front of Cody's restaurant when a car pulled up, and the driver said, "Aren't you Ed Langlo?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm Joey Moreno." It was an old friend of mine from school. And I said, "Yeah, I hear he said, "I hear you're on the radio." And I said, "Yeah, I just returned this 58 Santa Barbara High yearbook to my brother here. I did a segment on teen sports on the football team from it." He said that he had some 50s yearbooks and I could have them if I could use them. So a couple of days ago, I get a phone call and it's Joe. He said he was in town and he brought those yearbooks. So I met with him and he gave me the books in a plastic shopping bag. When I got home, I started pulling out the books. So it was a 1952 and a 1953 and a 54. And I looked through them for familiar names, but there was a fourth book. And I pulled that last book out of the bag and I couldn't quite figure the year on the front cover. So I opened the cover up and almost fell apart right there in my hands. A binding had come unglued from the cover. And so I carefully turned the first page, then a sheet of vellum paper. And on the second page was the date, 1924.
Wow.
Holy moly. Yeah, I didn't expect that. So
Wow.
I knew that was the first year that the school was at the current campus there on 700 East Anapamu. And here's what I found in that olive and gold from 1924. First of all, let's put this in perspective. This is 2021, right? So in 3 years, that yearbook will be 100 years old. You know, I feel fortunate in most of my history endeavors that I've been in contact with people that were there. For my book, Motorcycling in Santa Barbara County, I had folks in their 80s and 90s that could give me personal accounts of what took place in the 1930s and 40s. And for my segment on Santa Barbara High during the war years, I had Doug Spence and Twyla Johnson Christensen. At 95, Twyla was my guest on Teen Sports to recount her memories of the evening Elwood was shelled by a Japanese submarine and the anxieties that followed. But if you graduated with the class of 1924 at 18 years old, you would now be 115. So unfortunately, there won't be any empirical input for this segment. From what I could gather from the book, though, they didn't move to the new campus until later in the year. Like the first play that was held in the auditorium was June 6th, 1924. I thought the name from that senior play by Percy McKay was now appropriate. It was called 1,000 Years Ago. And about the senior informal held October 5th, 1923, it was noted this was the last dance in Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark was evidently what they called the gym when a dance was held there. Another part of history was gone. And the underclass pictures were all group shots on the front steps of the old De La Vina campus. But with Homer Martin as principal and Chester R. Milham as football coach, they moved to the new campus. In the sports section, it was repeatedly stated that the Dons football team started out with only one returning player. Now, I don't know how you would do that. You could easily speculate, but I don't want to say anything because I don't know. But something odd took place that football season. In a previous segment, I talked about the first Dons football team in 1908. They actually played rugby. They played 5 games that year, losing 4 and tying 1. The 1923 team in the 24 yearbook did a little better, playing 8 games, winning 4 and losing 4. There was some commentary about the 6th game. It was a home game against Van Nuys. The team captain and quarterback, Dutch Steinert, ran in the first touchdown of the game and then scored again with a shoestring pass to John Swanson. The Dons won that game 20-0. The basketball team took on Santa Barbara College. They lost 64-13.
Now on the basketball, I think I was half court.
Oh,
Full court.
No way. And I have no way. No, I suppose you could do some research.
Yeah, no, I was half court because I remember my basketball coach, she was that generation, which she was in high school that they went full court.
Oh.
Good stuff.
So then at the back of this yearbook, there were 28 pages of ads. Gandolfo's Soda Works was at Ortega and Santa Barbara Streets on the corner. Their phone number was 12. McCaffrey Sporting Goods. Yeah, that was their phone number, 12. Wow. McCaffrey Sporting Goods. And it seems like I remember McCaffrey's being at there at 634 State Street into the 1950s. Their phone number was 256.
Wow.
Then there was an ad for the Morning Press. In 1932, Thomas Stork purchased the Morning Press and merged it with his Santa Barbara News. And it became our own Santa Barbara News Press.
Whoa.
I'm Ed Langlow, and I'll see you next time on If Only I'd Known.
Good chatter on that, Ed. Great job. I love it. I love it. You know, this whole thing of what you started organically on this show with the whole yearbook thing is just genius. We just got to get through to all the other schools, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would love to donate, or I'm sure you could probably just find them online. I'm not sure how it is. I get that stuff on classmates.com all the time, allowing that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I have been in contact with Coach Stoney from San Marcos High. He was the original football coach there. And he was there when I went to San Marcos in the 60s, and he was the head football coach then. So I'm hoping he can come through with some material. I've talked to him twice. He
or
said
just
he
start
has.
off with the athletic directors of the schools and just ask them, and they out. Because a lot of times what happens, you get kids and their grandfather went to Santa Barbara High.
Yeah.
It's like 3-4 generations of families that are still here. So thank you so much.
Matthew and Nicholas. They're going to Santa Barbara High taking basketball camp. So
that's right. See, it just never ends. It's all good stuff. All right, let's take another little break right after these messages. We have Christine Marie with A View from the Deck.
Brazil. Back in the USSR. Way down in LA. Every day dancing in the street. Crossing China too. Me and you dancing in the street.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday
at 9 a.m.
Hi, I'm Don Sanders, Don's Massage in Ojai, 805-236-2684. And I was going to talk about a recent news story where the Supreme Court has ruled that the NC2A is breaking antitrust laws. And for those who aren't familiar with that, those exist so that small businesses and entities can compete and that giant monopolies don't control a whole market of whatever situation, in this case, sports. And in the case of sports, for many years, there's been a strict line, even if it's imaginary, between amateur and professional sports. So for those of you who have friends, I myself went to college on my first year I played on a scholarship, and those include room, board, and tuition. And what's happening is if anything happened where those athletes are not supposed to have jobs, they're not supposed to receive extra money, and they definitely, if they're a multi-sport athlete, they're not supposed to go towards anything that might be for pay, or else they would be they've been disqualified from being able to compete in amateur sports. And so what's happening now is, and this is after years of people pushing for this, states and Congress on the federal level are making it so that they're enacting legislation that will allow amateur athletes to be able to not so much go national with kind of promotions and opportunities, but local, which will be good for local businesses and local communities. They'll be able to actually make money while they attend college and participate in sports. There are even companies of ex-athletes who did not go professional now. There's a company that's been developed where they will match you with people that need your assistance, and they'll find a good pairing for you. And so this will be a whole new thing for parents and future college athletes to be thinking about, because you will be busy probably with appearances and photo shoots and commercials and so forth while you also attend college courses. And if you're on the Division I level in sports, you're going to be more than a full-time commitment. You're going to be probably spending 50 hours a week on your sports or more. And so it's a whole new ballgame, so to speak, out there now. And this is just beginning. There probably will be appeals or challenges from the NC2A. There's been for years schools, big powerful schools that it's documented that they've gotten around the rules, and they help certain students with things. Actually, what they call a 4 or 5 star recruit, a top recruit, say in football, they will probably hire agents, and then they will get the big commercials. They will get the big shoe deals, things like that. That will continue to happen. But for second tier athletes or whatever, it's going to open a whole new dimension, because 99% of these athletes, they peak in college and they don't get an opportunity to play in the pros. And many that do go pro, a quote unquote professional career lasts 2.5 years. And that happens to a lot. It's like a gazillion people play youth football like in high school or even before, then far fewer ever play college, and even farther fewer than that ever go pro. So this is a brand new world. We'll all be seeing how this is going to play out. But I think for families, it's great that there's people like Lori Cortez that can help people get prepared for what's to come. Because for a young kid that just loves to play a sport and they have dreams in their head, then you have to have some preparation. You have to have a team. You have to have people that get you ready for what's to come. Because when you say yes, when you sign that national letter of intent to go play a sport in college, it's like taking off on a bullet train. And I can imagine it's going to be only more so in the future. So I wanted to report on that and just ask if any of the other co-hosts and Erica, if you had any thoughts on this. On this.
I applaud it. I think it's fabulous. I think it grew organically, but it had to happen because kids have followings now. They do this monster dunk and they get 10,000 likes. Well, that equals money. So the way the structure is set up right now, you get a couple of quarters, nickels, dimes, that all adds up. And then, of course, if you want free gear, you can get all that by just saying that I like this free gear because you have, 500,000 followers. So everything is, it's just like any corporation that does a recommendation, they get a couple of pennies from whoever they're recommending. It would be nice if you went out to a beautiful restaurant and you just told all your friends, you're not getting anything for it. Okay, so everything has to equate, as far as commercializing anything, there's a couple of, I like it even going to, when they show customer appreciation, it's really nice when I go to Educated and I get, a whole punch. And then after 10 of them, because I'm showing loyalty to them, then they give me a free one. But it doesn't, I tell everybody I go to Educated. I mean, it's a great place to get your car washed. So it's really important, I think, the way that the sports is growing in so many different directions that, yes, kids shouldn't have to pay for shoes, clothes. It's crazy right now, the amount of money that parents have to lay out in high school. All that should be free. You shouldn't have to pay to sign your child up to play a sport. All that the economics on that needs to be all that, because you're not giving children the equal opportunity, because a lot of kids can't pay a cheerleader. I think it's upwards of $500 just to be a cheerleader with all the stuff that you have to pay for. It's ridiculous. So I applaud it. I think it's wonderful. And I hope that it trickles down to the level where all kids can play sports, because that's what it's about. I don't like the fact that you have to bring your checkbook to the first day of practice. I think that's wrong.
That's a great point. And there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people now. It used to be if you had a chance to go from the college to pros, you would hire a trainer to get you ready. And now they're doing that. Families are hiring trainers for their kids to get in top condition to go for a college scholarship. And also they're evaluating kids in high school. They're having, like performance days where coaches from college programs put them through their paces, just like they do now when the guys go from college to pro. I'm not considering all aspects, all the different sports. College sports produce about $8 billion in revenue a year, and the majority of that is men's football and men's basketball. And so I mean, you know, there's a tremendous amount of money. This new ruling would not include letting the athletes share in the revenue streams. It would be to be able to help their communities and help themselves at the same time. Like you said, they'll get so many hits on their social media influencer thing that maybe YouTube will start paying them a little bit of money, things like that. And so they will learn how they could do it. Their families may have supported their passion for sports, but said, hey, you know, we can barely afford to help you do this. And so a lot of guys, when they're going to play football, they're thinking, you know, if I make it, then I'll buy my mom a house. So this could enable that to happen.
Yeah, I love it. Good stuff. I like it. I love the direction we're going into. This is, again, the new normal. And you just have to, like you said, create that team, have a position, create that team, and have a goal. And all the steps that you need to make that goal, and don't be afraid to cut ties with people if you're not getting what you want. I mean, it's all about the wills of the desire of the child as well, and developing that mindset, that frame. Because a college athlete, I played 3 sports in college. It's daunting. But it's a drive. You either have it or you don't have it. It's not something when you get to that level that someone's going to force you to do something. Yeah. Because you start off at 6 o'clock in the morning and then you go to bed at 11, then you repeat. Yeah. That's life. That's what it is. Yep. But thank you so much. Looking forward to next week's section, Don. Right after these messages, we have Christine Marie with The View from the Deck. Stay tuned.
You're addicted to love.
And this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salter, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Welcome back to Teen Sports Radio. This is Christine Marie with A View from the Deck. And the view from the deck right now is the Chariot. The Chariot is about moving forward with our unconscious and our conscious harnessed to our chariot. And in a way, it's almost just what happened on the show right now. We thought with our conscious mind that I was going to be opening in the last section, but it turned out that I wasn't. And now I'm in this section, and that's just how it worked out. And what's making me think about is like, John, when you were speaking about, there's a gazillion people who start out in sports in high school, right? Or, in junior high or whatever. And then there's less, and they go into college, and less that make it to, they go into professional sports. And so what is that? There's our conscious mind that decides, yes, I'm going to move forward with something. What are we learning in those things? So the conscious mind will put us in sports in high school and maybe even in college, but perhaps something else will happen that would become a coach, or we become a part of a really fantastic team of in a group of where we're working, or something else happens. So this is about really understanding that our conscious mind is looking at something sometimes and very clear that we want it, but that our unconscious, which supposedly I've heard our unconscious makes 97% of our decisions. So if we think we want something and we're like, I'm going to get it, and yes, we can get that. But when something changes, it's about taking a look at that unconscious and saying, well, what's happening? Instead of what's wrong with me, it's like, well, why does it appear that I am sabotaging myself? Well, maybe you're not. Maybe there's something else that's happening that I would say that your spirit or your soul or a different part of you wants to do, but that training was very important for. All right. So this last Friday, Saturday, July 9th, 10th, we had a new moon in Cancer. And supposedly this new moon in Cancer is really bringing up this unconscious for many, many people, for the world. Right. I think it's really beautiful how people, when people say, well, the stars, the planets don't affect us. I think, well, the moon affects us all the time, going from full to dark, and it affects the waves, it affects the water, it affects all these things on our planet. So does the sun. So why wouldn't other planets have an effect on us? So, and that's sort of the unconscious effect. So what is happening? So if you've had things coming up for you about, that you didn't realize about, and all of a sudden there's these aha moments of, oh, maybe that's why that happened. I think that's what the Chariot is talking about. And the beauty of the Chariot card too, at least of this card that I have, is that he's driving. Is that the sun appears to be almost about to rise in the background, which is like a new day is dawning. So let's harness our shadow and our light and move towards the new day, everybody.
I want to let Dr. D close out the show today because I forgot him on the gratitude. And I got to say, my big, big, big gratitude. He just had a birthday. And Dr. D, how much we care about you. We love you. Everything that you've done for the show with all of the gift, your generosity, with all the commercials and your time and everything. And I hope you enjoy your birthday surprise breakfast tomorrow that I wasn't supposed to tell you about. But I have to make sure you're going to be here and not cancel. So be sure to come tomorrow.
I'll be there. I will be there.
Close us out.
Let's just keep moving forward as far as Christine's card there, the Chariot, and keep the wheels on the ground and keep moving forward and trying to accomplish the things that we're here to accomplish.
That's it. I'm going to say wheels up this week, okay? Big smiles. Let's make it a big week, all right? We're open. We're smiling. We're having a good time, and all the camps are open, so parents, don't worry about anything, and we'll check in with all of you guys again next week. God bless you. See you next week.
Nothing's gonna ever bring you down. You're the best around. Nothing